With Ivan Toney back from his ban and cooking in his first game, I'm going to take a look at whether or not it is worth investing in the Brentford forward. We're also going to take a look at the best City midfielders with their double game week confirmed and get the latest updates on Trent and Mohamed Salah. Before we dive into today's video, I just want to say a huge thank you for helping the channel hit 3,000 subscribers before the end of January. That was the goal we went for. We've absolutely smashed it. It's only the 21st. There's still like a lot of days to go in January, but we've absolutely smashed it. So thank you very much for your continued support. We're now on the road to 5k. If we could hit that by the end of the season, that would be absolutely immense. So if you do enjoy any of the content that you see, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, we're going to start off with Ivan Toney scoring on his return. I mean, it was just written in the stars. It was always going to happen. Now, the big question for a lot of people is, what do we do with Ivan Toney? Now, there's a lot of forwards in the game at the moment that aren't quite performing. I'm thinking of Ollie Watkins. I think he's only scored 2 goals in his past 8 Premier League games, which is not a great record, especially when we're paying that premium price for him. Haaland, obviously, still a little bit TBC around his injury and his potential return. Julian Alvarez isn't kind of lighting the world up, but with him potentially having a double game week in 25, I still think he's worth considering. Isak from Newcastle, definite option, but again, little bit of rotation risk in there. Then you've got Darwin Núñez as well. This is being filmed before the Liverpool-Bournemouth game, so he might absolutely smash it and kind of make me eat my words. But again, a player that I don't think a lot of us are looking to bring in. Ivan Toney, on the other hand, had a cracking season last year, as you can see. 20 goals, 2 assists, good underlying data to go with it. And the fixtures, they're not there. I think that's the clear thing we're going to say for Brentford. The fixtures aren't there, but they've got a weird caveat about them. Now, they're going to play Tottenham, City, Wolves, then the double in game week 25 of Liverpool and Manchester City. Okay, double game week, but against arguably 2 of the best teams in the league right now, so not the best. Then it's West Ham, then it's Chelsea, then it's Arsenal. But the thing that Brentford have over a lot of other teams, and Ivan Toney as well, is the fact that their game against Burnley in game week 29 is going to happen. It's one of the only fixtures at the moment that is actually going to take place in that game week. Obviously, after the FA Cup 4th round and kind of other competitions and stuff kind of figuring themselves out, we are going to get more games kind of fit into that game week 29. But if you were potentially looking at not going for a wild card that week, then Ivan Toney obviously is a player that you are going to want to go for. You don't want to be wasting your free hit. I feel it is going to be one of those game weeks where the top teams don't play, so we're going to have to kind of find these players like Ivan Toney, who is a very good prolific forward that can get us points in those kind of weird game week 29. He does also have the double in game week 25. It's not the greatest, is it? Liverpool and Manchester City, but the thing that Toney has that a lot of other forwards in the game don't is penalties at the moment. He is Brentford's key man. He is the penalty taker. He's on set pieces as well. Obviously scored that delicious little free kick. Maybe moved the ball a little bit far too forward, but, you know, we're not calling him a cheat here. We're above that on this channel. But yeah, you know, he's got the penalties, he's got the free kicks, he's also great in open play as well, and he is just Brentford's key danger man. You can see him pretty much playing every single one of these games, and you do feel like he could score against any of these sides, and I think that's why a lot of people are quite hot on Ivan Toney at the moment. For me personally, if I was looking to bring him in, I think it would be probably for the Wolves game in game week 24, then get him for the double, and then keep him until the game week potentially 30 wildcard. That is the strategy that I would go for with Ivan Toney. I think I need to see a little bit more from him first and see the other kind of situation, what's happening with Haaland, what's going to happen with our other forwards as well, and kind of assess what's going to happen with Watkins' overall performance as well before I make a judgment on Ivan Toney. But let me know what you think down in the comment section about the Brentford forward. Moving on to 2 of the most sold players going into game week 22, it is Mohamed Salah and it is Trent Alexander-Arnold. We're going to start off with the man on the left. Obviously limped off just before half-time in the AFCON game for Egypt, and it now has been confirmed by their FA that he is going to miss their next 2 fixtures. Now, Egypt potentially still could go out, but all I think realistically they need is a draw from Cape Verde game, and they potentially should be going through to the next round. It works very similar to the Euros, where there is 3 teams kind of going through each group, so they're kind of, I think it's the top 4 best 3 third place finishers go through, and Egypt pretty much should get that if they get a draw and go through with 3 points. So it does look like Mohamed Salah is going to still be away, but we never know. Cape Verde have been pretty good, unbeaten so far, the only team to win back-to-back games in the AFCON as well, so maybe could cause an upset and knock Salah out early. So potentially, kind of, if you are potentially looking to sell him this week, could come back to haunt you. But it does look like he is going to miss 2 games, but it doesn't seem too serious of an injury. It doesn't seem something that is potentially him going to miss that double game week 25. That is still yet to be confirmed. Obviously, that will be confirmed once Liverpool get their double game week. Not their double game week, their Carabao Cup midweek game sorted this week. If they progress to the final, then obviously their game in game week 26 will become a blank. And you imagine pretty much what Ben Crellin has said is that game week is then going to, well, that game, sorry, is going to go into game week 25, meaning that Liverpool will play Brentford and Luton, so a really, really good fixture. But it does look like Salah is going to miss the next 2 AFCON games, but if they crash out early, lose to Cape Verde, we're obviously going to get quite a few updates from Klopp as well. FA Cup and League Cup games before both of Liverpool's Premier League games as well. So we are going to have plenty of information. So I think for now, if I had Salah, I would just hold off. I know the kind of appeal at the moment is to go for KDB, and I 100% get on board with that. That is something that I'm potentially looking at doing if, you know, Egypt progress and get a little bit further far in the tournament, and the fact that KDB does have that double game week as well, and we're still a little bit unsure what's happening with Haaland, so I think that makes him a little bit more of a more desirable asset as well. Offers us another premium as well that we can go and captain in most weeks. But Salah at the moment, I think if I had him, and I do have him, I'm going to hold, I'm going to wait and see. Information is key. We've still got about 10 days till the deadline actually happens, so just keep your information, keep your transfers on lock. Don't be worried too much about price rises over the next few days. Trent Alexander-Arnold, on the other hand, again, another player very highly sold this week, and again, for very good reason. Obviously, 0 points in game week 20, missed out on game week 21. He's not in the squad. That game is taking place like in 10 minutes. He's not in the squad for that one, but we did get an update from Jurgen Klopp, and he has said that all the players that are currently injured, I'll just flash that up on screen right now, all the players that are currently injured, you know, they have been progressing very well and should be back for game week 22. So I think if I was a Trent owner, and again I am going to keep him, especially if they do progress to the final of the League Cup. It's pretty much probably going to be confirmed before game week 22 starts that they will have a double game week, and Trent in a double game week, it just sounds like a match made in heaven for me, to be honest. He has been very consistent, very good point scoring kind of over the past 10, 12 game weeks as well. So I think having him for a potential double and positive fixtures as well in there, you're looking at the likes of Burnley, Luton that will become the double, Nottingham Forest. It's just a real no-brainer, isn't it, to get Trent in if he is fit and available for that double game week. So I think if I had him, again, we are going to get 2 press conferences at least from Jurgen Klopp. We're obviously going to get the League Cup one, we're going to get the FA Cup one, and we're potentially going to see whether or not he makes the bench in either of those games as well. So if I had Trent, I'd hold off. There's quite a lot of positive encouragement coming out from Jurgen Klopp at the moment, so I don't think you need to sell him so far. We briefly touched on the double game week in the last section, but I wanted to go through it in a little bit more detail. So obviously Manchester City and Brentford are both now doubling in game week 25. And for me personally, I feel like we should start loading up on potential Manchester City assets and maybe some Brentford assets as well. Ivan Toney probably being the only one that I would go out and consider. As you can see here as well, we do have Ben Crellin's tweet. He thinks there's a 70% probability that Liverpool-Luton will also become a double in game week 25 as well. So keeping those Liverpool assets, looking to invest in those teams as well, is something that I definitely think is very wise to do. So on the back of that, I think, you know, let's take a look at some Manchester City assets. We kind of went through some of these in the last transfer targets video at the end of last weekend, but some things and some situations have potentially changed. Obviously, Kyle Walker, I think, is the best defender to go for from Manchester City. If you do need one, he's the ideal one. There's only been one game so far that he's not seen out the full 90 minutes. That was against Sheffield United, and he still got his clean sheet coming off in the 67th minute. I haven't seen any updates about Ederson, but if he's out for a while, it could be Ortega as the potential goalkeeper option that you potentially could go for there if you wanted to go into the City defence. I think with a positive double game week and positive fixtures leading into that double as well, I definitely think it does make sense. City as well, one of the best teams for XG conceded, so not a bad pick to go for Walker if you like kind of the data side. It's definitely there. He's a player who plays at 90 minutes. There isn't too much to talk about in terms of attacking data, but I think defensively he could pick up some clean sheets, maybe get himself, you know, double digits for that double game week as well. Jeremy Doku is a player that I really do like. I think he's a player that is going to massively kind of explode over the next few seasons of FPL. I think once he becomes a lot more consistent and we can see actually, you know, he's regular in Pep's first team, I do think he is going to be a very good player to have. 6.5 million for him at the moment. As you can see, the data this is per 90 data so far over this season. It's pretty good. You can't complain at that. So I think it is very good. 5.89 points per 90 on this list. That is the second highest, only behind KDB, and KDB's is from last season, so a full season getting extra games in as well, as it's not really fair to compare KDB's kind of per 90 stats at the moment when I don't even think he's seen out a full 90 so far this season, so it's not really fair to kind of look at that data from his side. So Jeremy Doku, a player that I am very impressed by. I really like him, but I do think there are potentially better City midfielders. One of those I do believe is Phil Foden. As you can see, again, putting up really good per 90 data. 8 million price tag on him at the moment. My only concern with Phil Foden is with all these players potentially coming back, the likes of Grealish, Doku, KDB, Haaland potentially as well. Where's Alvarez going to maybe drop back? KDB, is he going to be pushed out? Foden, is he going to be pushed out wide? There's a lot of discussion that has to take place, and I do feel Foden potentially could be a little bit of a casualty of rotation with Pep Roulette. So for me, I think he's a good asset, and I think if you had him, I'd keep him ahead of this double game week, but I don't think necessarily I would want to go out into the market and potentially buy him at the current time of recording. Julian Alvarez, he's in here at the moment. I feel if you have him, probably keep him, see what kind of emerges with the Haaland situation. I've heard reports that, again, he's just been solo training, still not with the first team squad, but like we said, there is 10 days to go till that game week 22 deadline. Alvarez, again, a very good pick if you were looking for a forward. If we get kind of confirmation that Haaland maybe isn't going to be available for this double game week, or if you wanted to, you know, potentially go for two forwards, Haaland and Alvarez as well, because they do simultaneously play. Alvarez does just take that little bit of a 10 position and has been extremely good in it when he does operate in that role. Finally, KDB, the most transferred in player, 700,000 transfers for him so far. Very good reason. I can see that going above 1 million as well. Obviously, with Mohamed Salah potentially not being available, still might be like, you know, out at AFCON as well. I think KDB to Salah is a very sensible switch. The only concern I do have about KDB is some of the comments coming from him and Pep Guardiola about his potential fitness and minutes concerns. Those are the only issues I think we're having with KDB, but we saw in that Newcastle game, how deadly this man can be and how much City have missed him, because he is a game changer when he's on form, when he's firing, and if Haaland can be back as well in this team, he is going to cook and he is going to get a lot of goals and assists. That was today's video. Those were my transfer targets. Let me know what you think of them down in the comment section below. If you've got any questions about your teams as well, do get them in the comments. And like I said, thank you very much for helping me hit 3k subscribers. Now we're on the road to 5k, so do hit that subscribe button. But thank you very much and good luck this game week.